I'll never forget the day Robert walked into my office. At 67, this former construction foreman looked like a shadow of himself. His shoulders sagged, his eyes had lost their spark, and he moved like every step was a burden. "Doc," he said, settling heavily into the chair across from my desk, "I feel like I'm disappearing. My wife Sarah keeps asking what's wrong, but I don't know how to explain it. I wake up tired, I go to bed tired, and everything in between feels like I'm pushing through mud." Robert's story broke my heart, but it didn't surprise me. In my 30-plus years of practice, I've seen thousands of men just like him. Good men who suddenly find themselves wondering where their strength went, where their drive disappeared to, and why their bodies seem to be giving up on them. "I used to build houses," Robert continued, his voice barely above a whisper. "Now I get winded walking up the stairs to my own bedroom. My grandson asked me to throw a baseball with him last weekend, and after 10 minutes, I had to sit down. The look in his eyes." He trailed off, staring at his hands. This wasn't just about feeling tired. Robert was describing something I see every single day. Men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond who feel like their bodies have betrayed them. They remember being strong, energetic, capable. They remember feeling like men. But somewhere along the way, that version of themselves seemed to fade away. The worst part, Robert went on, is that everyone just shrugs and says, "Well, you're getting older." Like I'm supposed to accept feeling half dead for the rest of my life. Is this really what getting older means? I leaned forward and looked Robert straight in the eye. "No," I said firmly. "This is not what aging has to look like. What you're describing isn't normal aging. It's your body crying out for help." I've dedicated my career to understanding why some men sail through their 60s, 70s, and 80s with energy, strength, and vitality, while others struggle just to get through each day. What I've discovered might surprise you. The difference isn't genetics. It's not luck. And it's certainly not about accepting defeat. The men who thrive as they age, the ones who still have that spring in their step, that twinkle in their eye, that magnetic presence that draws people to them, they all share one secret. Their bodies have learned how to create energy the way nature intended. 6 months after that first visit, Robert walked into my office again, but this time I barely recognized him. He strode in with confidence, his back straight, his eyes bright and alert. He looked like he'd shed 20 years. "Doc," he said with a grin that lit up the room, "you saved my life." Let me tell you what happened in those 6 months, because Robert's transformation illustrates something remarkable about how the male body works and how it can be restored. When Robert first came to see me, I explained that his body was like a car running on fumes. For years, he'd been pushing forward on willpower alone, but the engine that powers everything, his cellular energy production, had been slowly grinding to a halt. Think about it this way. Every cell in your body is like a tiny power plant. When you're young, these power plants run at full capacity, generating all the energy you need to feel strong, alert, and alive. But as the years pass, these power plants start to slow down, get clogged up, and operate less efficiently. Most doctors will tell you this is inevitable. I disagree. You see, there's a specific nutrient, let's call it the energy igniter, that these cellular power plants desperately need to function properly. When you're young, your body produces plenty of it. But after age 30, production drops by about 10% every decade. By the time you're 60, you're running on maybe half the energy igniter your cells need. It's like trying to start a campfire with damp wood and no kindling. You might get a few sparks, but you'll never get that roaring fire that lights up the night. But here's what's exciting. When you give your body the energy igniter, it's been missing. Those cellular power plants can roar back to life. Not only can you feel like yourself again, you can feel better than you have in decades. Robert started noticing changes within the first 2 weeks. It was subtle at first, he told me. I found myself waking up naturally instead of dragging myself out of bed. Then I realized I wasn't falling asleep in my chair after dinner anymore. By week 4, the changes were impossible to ignore. Sarah noticed it before I did, Robert laughed. She said I was walking differently, taller, more confident. I felt like I had this steady energy throughout the day instead of that awful crash I used to get every afternoon. The transformation accelerated from there. Robert started taking on projects around the house he'd been putting off for months. He began going for daily walks, then daily jogs. He enrolled in a woodworking class he'd been interested in for years, but never had the energy to pursue. The best part, he said, his eyes getting misty, was when my grandson came over and asked me to throw the baseball again. This time, I threw with him for 2 hours. We both had to stop because it got dark, not because I ran out of steam. But Robert's story gets even better. As his energy returned, other things started improving too. His mind felt sharper. He could remember names and details that used to slip away. His mood lifted. Sarah said he'd started laughing at her jokes again. Even their relationship grew stronger as Robert became more present, more engaged, more like the man she'd fallen in love with decades ago. I feel like I got my husband back, Sarah told me when she came in with Robert for his 6-month follow-up. But honestly, he seems even better than before, more appreciative, more focused on what really matters. This is what happens when you address the root cause instead of just managing symptoms. When you give your body what it needs to create energy naturally, everything else starts falling into place. So what exactly is this energy igniter that made such a dramatic difference for Robert and thousands of other men I've worked with? It's a compound that your body makes naturally, found in every single cell, but particularly concentrated in your heart, brain, and muscles, the organs that need the most energy. Scientists call it CoQ10, but I prefer to think of it as your body's natural energy spark plug. Imagine your cells as cars, and CoQ10 as the spark plugs that ignite the fuel. When you're young, you have plenty of good spark plugs, so your engine runs smooth and strong. But as you age, those spark plugs wear out and aren't replaced as quickly. Your engine starts to sputter, lose power, and eventually struggles just to keep running. This is why so many men feel like they're running on empty as they get older. It's not that they're broken, they just need new spark plugs. But here's the problem. Your body's ability to make CoQ10 drops dramatically after age 30. By the time you're 60, you might be producing less than half of what you made when you were 25. It's like trying to run a car with worn-out spark plugs. You might still move forward, but you'll never have the power and smooth performance you once enjoyed. The solution is beautifully simple. Give your body the high-quality CoQ10 it needs, in a form it can actually use. Now, I need to be honest with you. Not all CoQ10 supplements are created equal. The form matters tremendously. Regular CoQ10 is like trying to dissolve rocks in water. Your body struggles to absorb it. But there's an activated form called ubiquinol that's like liquid gold for your cells. It's pre-converted and ready to use, so your body can put it to work immediately. Think of it this way. Regular CoQ10 is like giving someone a pile of lumber and hoping they can build a house. Ubiquinol is like delivering a house that's already built. Your cells can move right in and start living. I recommend starting with 100 milligrams of high-quality ubiquinol daily, taken with food for better absorption. Within a few weeks, most men start noticing that steady, sustained energy they remember from their younger days. But CoQ10 is just the foundation. I also recommend adding a few other natural energy supporters. Magnesium acts like your cellular power plant's maintenance crew, keeping everything running smoothly. D-ribose is like premium fuel that burns clean and efficient. And B vitamins are like the electrical system that helps everything communicate properly. Together, these nutrients create what I call the energy protocol, a simple, natural way to restore your body's ability to create energy the way it did when you were decades younger. The beauty of this approach is that you're not masking symptoms or forcing your body to do something unnatural. You're simply giving it the tools it needs to do what it was designed to do. create abundant, sustainable energy. As I write this, Robert just celebrated his 70th birthday. He marked the occasion by completing a 5K run with his grandson, something that would have been unimaginable when he first walked into my office. But more than the physical transformation, what strikes me most about Robert is how he carries himself. There's a confidence, a vitality, a joy in living that radiates from him. He's not trying to be 25 again. He's being the best version of himself at 70. "I wish I'd found you years earlier," he told me recently. "I spent so much time accepting that feeling tired and worn down was just part of getting older. Now I realize I was just missing the right fuel." This is my message to you. Wherever you are right now, whatever your age, it's not too late to reclaim your energy and vitality. Your body has an incredible capacity to heal and restore itself when given the right support. The men who thrive in their later decades aren't lucky or genetically gifted. They've simply learned the secret of working with their bodies instead of against them. Your best years don't have to be behind you. In fact, I believe they can be ahead of you, filled with energy, purpose, and the deep satisfaction that comes from feeling truly alive in your own skin. Dr. Catherine Morgan, Men's Vitality Specialist. Take care of yourself. Dr. Catherine Morgan, Men's Vitality Specialist.